kind of discriminatory based on races. I mean,
Yeah.
people from the West, I mean, mainly
Caucasians.
Caucasians, like they may have the privilege.
That's
So
right.
I was wondering if you can look at this kind of discriminatory practice from a historical point of view, like how like over the years as we pursue like industrial development, like since like 1950s, 1960s, how does it shape the public consciousness over the years? Like people kind of have this kind of stigma towards people from certain places, while have some admiration, different kind of attitudes toward people from the West.
Yeah, that would be a good dissertation topic. So, but I mean, in general, I think there is always that discrimination or prejudice, you know, against the people of color. You know, even within the Taiwanese society, when they look at Aboriginals, they might say, "Oh, you know, they are not yellow like us," or something. Yeah. So there's always, I think, a sentiment, or how do I say, like they'll prefer a white Caucasian from the West than people from Southeast Asian regions. I mean, not always, but I mean at least the general stereotype, kind of general public, kind of holds that kind of system of belief. But yeah, that's a big question, and I think it will be interesting to look into that kind of historical framework and how that kind of shift and change. I believe that when the government decided to, import these foreign workers and give them only the 3D jobs, that kind of creates, something negative about them already. Because, and especially for the caregivers, a lot of them come in, they got pretty high educational attainment. They are college graduates, in their own country. But in Taiwan, they can only do those kind of unskilled jobs. Yeah, it's so I guess that's right.
But you made a good point that if the way the people in Taiwan treat different races differently, then the conclusion about xenophobia doesn't really hold because it's only targeted to some races.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I kind of just use that term to, catch people's attention. Yeah, that's an exaggeration. Yeah, so I shouldn't probably say that. We're not really xenophobic in every sense. Still, there's certainly prejudice.
Is there any integration policy of the Taiwan government for the multicultural society?
There are, some of them I put it over there where actually not the top ones. Those are mine, but like these kind of things, they're there. The local governments especially, they're trying to do that because especially for the spouses, because the spouses now they are going to become citizens in Taiwan. So, and they are mostly in the rural areas, township, and those places. So those local governments, they look into this issue with some seriousness, and they try to promote that kind of cross-cultural understanding through cultural activities and stuff. But that's only because there are immigrant spouses. If they're only workers, I don't think they'll really care. Yeah. So, but yeah, there do exist the integration kind of sentiment toward these.
I'm sorry I was kind of late, but I am kind of interested that the foreign spouses in Taiwan and the immigration workers, how come they didn't they haven't formed a certain kind of enclave in Taiwan? That when you travel to other countries, you can easily see Chinatown or Little Tokyo, whatever, Korean town. But in Taiwan, you rarely see this kind of.
There are.
Yeah, I know but their scale is not as big as other countries. Such we don't call those township or their enclave. They're just restaurants nearby or around their churches.
That's right.
The scale is not as big. But can you explain why is that?
For the caregivers, Very simply, they don't have days off, so they cannot go out. You know, they are at home, so they cannot do anything.
Yeah,
For the factory workers, they can go out and congregate in certain areas, churches especially, and the Filipinos, they have like their own set quarters, like in certain areas in Taipei, and I think the Vietnamese has some areas in Taoyuan. Yeah, but then those are really long-term immigrants who stay and kind of have little business establishments. Yeah, but then other than those people, it's really hard because there are so many, you know, people from different countries too, right? They're Indonesians, they're a little bit Malaysian, but not too much, and there are Filipinos, there are Vietnamese. Yeah, so they speak different languages too. So it's kind of hard for them to all congregate at the same place. The Indonesians, for example, in Taipei, they're all in the train station area. They don't go to the Filipino place because the Filipino place is for the Filipinos. Yeah. Then when you have immigrant spouses, they are somebody's wives, so they don't go out and do this kind of things that much either. So it's really hard to, you know, yeah, just because I guess Taiwan, similar to Japan, where we have a Mano culture, you know, ideology for of the state. So we think that, you know, the people of Taiwan, mostly Han people, are, you know, is from one race. So they don't like people from other outsiders to immigrants. So it's really hard. If you compare the U.S. and Taiwan or Japan, the U.S. immigration policy is relatively easy compared to Taiwan. It's really hard to become Taiwanese citizens. So for those people from Southeast Asian countries, they cannot become citizens. So it's hard for them to really establish or to get land to open up business or anything like that in Taiwan. It's really, really difficult.
But it's even harder in Japan.
It's even harder in Japan, yes, you're right.
What?
It's impossible almost. It's impossible to become citizen in Japan. You only become permanent resident if you are married into a
Right.
Japanese family. Yes.
And how come they still have those enclave in Japan, like in Yokohama?
I guess because there's a long-term,
Yes, historical.
there's a historical, yeah.
Yeah, there are historical reasons. Also, probably, you know, this because they are they don't allow like citizenship or permanent residency. That's the reason why there are influence. Right? It's okay. Okay. So we have some more time, but you know, anyway, due to my efficient management, we can finish the session. First of all. Okay, let me conclude the session. In the introduction, I mentioned that there are so many issues in immigration and migration. And then I think actually after like 2 hours later, I found that these 4 papers actually touches some of the most important issues in migration and immigration, like gender issues, and there are income inequality, and earnings inequality, and there are remittance issues, and there are these issues of household, etc., etc. So I think this is a really nice combination also with both quantitative and qualitative positions. So, and also both the internal and international migration. Okay, on behalf of the actually organizing committee and the East West Center, actually, I actually think, especially for those who from long distance, from Asia, from Hong Kong, actually from Pennsylvania, thank you for your presentation, attending our conferences. So I think probably you must be tired still. But I think this nice breeze and this wonderful actually weather in Hawaii will take your people away. So thank you very much for presenter and the audiences. So this concludes the session. Okay, thank you. Oh, so there is actually assessment evaluation program over there. So we are
That's the political science.